Hey guys, Coach Keith Kepner here. It's Friday, so you know what time it is. It's time for another video review, inspired initially by the fact that a lot of people say that I look like Mike Israetel from Renaissance Periodization, and I feel like it's a great educational opportunity. Last week, I did Kenny Weldon, and massive respect for him. And I feel like it was a great experience in terms of actually really learning boxing technique and seeing all the different takes on it, right? Because again, anyone that tells you there's only one way and one way only one path to heaven as a boxer, I would be a little bit weary of. All right. And again, to be clear, this is all done in good fun, and I don't have any animosity to anyone that I'm like, making jokes about and things like that. And also I have respect in different aspects. All right. So this time around, we're going to be doing somebody that I remember coming on the scene when I first opened up my gym, my first gym. And I have to admit that I was a little bit of a hater, right? Also too, when you're a newer coach, you tend to be like way more judgmental, right? Of people that you think are maybe have less knowledge than you do or have a different viewpoint and things like that. And so you're really dogmatic. And so that's where I have to admit, I would rip into this guy pretty hard. But he seems like a good guy. And I know he has put in some time in the gym practicing and things like that. Over the years, some of his ideas have gotten fleshed out better. And he was one of the first guys to really make a hustle out of doing the online YouTube thing with boxing, and he's done a great job. I have to admit that back then I kind of lumped him into the group with the Here in My Garage.
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here.
Type internet guy, but he seems to be a decent guy. So it's Johnny from Expert Boxer. It is kind of funny, I have to say, saying that your channel is Expert Boxing or your brand is expertboxing.com, because expert is a really high bar, don't you think? So there's that whole saying, which isn't completely true, but it's just an idea of an average or the amount of time of the 10,000 hour rule, right, to become an expert. And man, Johnny, like, I don't know if you put in the 10,000 hours to be called an expert, right? So it's a little bit just presumptuous. Maybe now he has put in the 10,000 hours as the making of this video. But anyway, man, we're going to do this video, and I'm going to share some things that I differ on and some different concepts and thoughts. All right. So without further ado, let's get into it, have some fun, and at the very least, have an entertaining, hopefully, and educational experience. I put a few of his videos together that I'm going to review because a lot of his videos are really short, and it's kind of from that time of YouTube where everything was super, super short. Even with his more recent stuff, it's short. But I'm going to go back to some of the classics, some of Johnny's classics. And this first classic, we're going to do a 3-part series, which is how to fight a southpaw fighter. And then we'll wrap up with a couple other great ones, and let's get into it. All right.
Now I'm going to show you how to fight a southpaw, show you how to beat a left-handed boxer. Richard here is our southpaw. The most important step to fighting a southpaw is to get your front foot on the outside.
Is that the most important step or method to fighting a southpaw? I have to say, from experience, it's really actually not. It's something that, like, yes, it's good. It's not a bad thing, but I find people overemphasize it. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
That's getting my left foot behind on the outside of his right foot. And the reason why, from here, when Richard throws a jab, okay, I'm hiding behind it, and from here I can land right hand anywhere I want, left hand anywhere I want. He's in the range of both my hands where I'm hiding behind his right jab, and at the same time his left cross is too far to reach me. So if he throws a left cross, it has to spin all the way over. It's really hard for him to hit me. So here's how I get my
Some
front
truth
foot
to that.
on the outside. There's 3 ways. The first step is to just be sneaky as we're fighting, and just to move my front foot to the outside. Really easy to do. A second way to do it is to punch my way over.
Or more often than not, are the best things to do.
So as I'm punching, and I'm keeping it busy with my punches, then I step over to the outside.
Last way to do it, hit those punches, right?
Keeping it busy with my punches, easy to do. A second way to do it is to punch my way over. So as I'm punching, and I'm keeping him busy with my punches, then I step over to the outside. Last way to do it is to bait him, to throw a jab, okay, throws a jab, and slip outside. Once you get your front foot outside, the rest is easy. That's the most important step to being a southpaw. Thanks for watching. Now I'm going to show you what to do.
So if you were to walk away with that video, most important thing, have your foot outside the lead foot. It's kind of one of those things that if you were to just Google or punch like nowadays into AI, how to fight a southpaw, I feel like this is the information you get. And I feel like it's lacking a lot of the nuance that you have when either you have a lot of fights or you've worked with a lot of fighters in the corner. Because to be clear, and I'm not just talking about Johnny here, there's a lot of people out there on YouTube that are coaching boxing. And I've actually like met some of these people, like not the YouTube really known people, but I've met people that coach boxing that act like they know everything about boxing, and they've never actually even been in a corner for an amateur boxing fight. They've avoided doing that. There was someone that I know personally that wanted to coach boxing, and they would talk in these all or nothing terms and talk with all this confidence, but they never even just cornered an amateur boxer. And I actually I lovingly pushed them to do that and try to encourage them to do that, and they were resistant to it. It's weird. So anyways, just a little side caveat there. I know Johnny has at least cornered a couple people, but I feel like that video lacked a lot of the nuance that you get from that amount of ring experience.
Knowledge.
If you're liking this video so far, make sure you click like and subscribe. Appreciate your support.
When the southpaw gets his front foot outside yours, first step.
Okay, so
I'm going to show you what to do.
What should you do when a southpaw gets their front foot outside of your foot? Let's find out what to do. Oh my gosh, he's got his foot on the outside of my lead foot. Ugh. And this is the problem, is that at least with the way that I teach and that I was taught and that I generally find to work in my own personal bias experience, is to not get overly involved with the feet, okay? More so to get involved with maybe moving different directions or different type of punches, different types of attacks. Because as you guys know with experience, if you're spending too much time, especially in your first few fights, focusing on foot position, oftentimes, with all the pressures of everything else, you're going to be missing the mark on the most important stuff. But anyway, let's find out what Johnny's advice is. If they do get their lead foot outside of your foot, and you're set up in the trap to be killed.
When the southpaw gets his front foot outside yours, first step. When the southpaw slips my jab, and I see him being lazy, he's leaning his head over, he doesn't have his hips under him. I just put my arm into his neck, and just push him over off balance. Another thing I can do, again.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great move to do when people slip, is to just leave the arm out and then just kind of lay down on them, press them. It's not really a technically illegal move, because there's no rule in boxing that says you have to get your arm back in whatever time frame, right? And as long as you're not literally like pushing them and you're just maybe pushing them down, then it's a good move to do, all right? But, you can do this anyway. It doesn't matter whether or not their front foot's whatever, right?
Being lazy, just walk into a headlock and crush him. That's the first tactic. Okay.
See, one thing that I'm not big about with tactics like that, where, okay, here, he gets his foot outside of your foot, so get him in a headlock. There isn't a takedown that comes after that. This is not MMA. So you're not putting yourself in a position to land punches. And that's one thing that I'm very big on. My dad was very big on. And Chuck Bodak was very big on too. Like, what are you doing? Like, is the move that you're working on putting you in a position to land punches? If you press down on somebody a little bit, if they slip your punch, you are in a position, if you just leave your arm out and press down a little bit, to land punches. But don't lose sight of that you need to do that. You don't just need to press down on them and be like, mission accomplished. Your goal as a boxer is to land punches. Getting someone in a headlock, you could say like, frustrates them, this, that, and the other thing. But let's optimize for positions to land punches first. After we've optimized that really, really well, then with time, maybe have some of these tactics. But I see the opposite happen most of the time. Guys will start doing stuff like this, and they continually will put themselves where in a fight they're behind and they're doing stuff like this. I've had a couple guys over the past couple years where they'll press down on somebody, they'll do this move here, and they're behind in the fight when they're doing this, and it's the third round, and it's like, dude, we gotta cinch this round, and this is not gonna be what's gonna win us the fight, right? Anyway,
and crush him. That's the first tactic. Okay, second tactic. Southpaw again has his front foot outside mine. All I have to do is just back up, and it's back up into
this whole video could be encompassed in 10 seconds of, if he gets his foot outside your foot and you don't want his foot outside your foot, then just step back. Or pick up your foot, depending how close you are, and step it over his foot and be on the other side. Man, I just turned decades into days.
Stance. Third trick. Once again, southpaw's right behind me. He's got his front foot on the outside.
One thing, against a opposite stance fighter, I recommend, generally, not all the time, but generally, it's a good idea to keep your lead hand up, because that lead hook, that right hook, is right there for you. And if you're in that close, you need to have some concern with it. Because like we talked about in the fight today with Gennady Golovkin, he arced that lead hook down against the opposite stance fighter. And that's what a decent fighter is going to do to you. So you just need to be aware of it. It's not all or nothing, but you just want to be aware of it.
Let's say he's punching me. I'm going to run this time. He's going to chase me. And I'm going to lead him all the way over to the ropes. And right when I know that he's along the ropes, all I have to do is pivot. Now he can't pivot with me. I just punch him square along the ropes.
Really? So once you do that, he can't pivot with you?
All I have to do is pivot. Now he can't pivot with me.
He's stuck, dude. You can't move. You're done. And that's one of the problems, one of the challenges with, I think, personally, with speaking like this as a coach, is, or as an instructor, is that it gets people in this mindset where then when you talk like this, just be super, super nitpicky. This guy now has this attitude of, oh, I'm in this position. I can't do anything now. That's what my instructor told me, or my coach told me, and it's really limiting. So that's something to watch out for. Because you could make the argument for that people speak in extremes to make a point, but oftentimes that makes other points that are unintended.
You just punch him square along the ropes. That's the third tactic. Fourth tactic. Once again, he's got
a lot of tactics that could just be take a step out or pick your foot up and put it on the other side of his foot.
All I do is stick out my left hand into his face and let him chase me. Okay, so when he chases me, he's going to try to chase me with punches. It's really hard if I got my left hand on his face. I can also do it
if your arm is longer as well. That's a benefit.
To his body, lean down.
Don't do that one. See, he feels awkward just doing that. I think he probably questions in the demo.
Punches. It's really hard if I got my left hand on his face. I can also do it to his body, lean down. Again, I'm running away. I'm making it harder.
Just think about it. It's harder to move away being that low as well. Also with your arm extended. If you're going to extend the arm out to put interference as you move out, generally be more up. Don't be so low.
Now, fifth tactic. Again, he's got the front foot on the outside. Ultimately, he's going to throw a big left hand. So, the first one is the sidestep. If I see the big left hand, I sidestep. Here it is. Sidestep. Boom.
Good move.
Okay, I can walk out from here. Short one more time.
Good move.
Boom. Okay.
So now Johnny is showing in the second video why it is not important or that important to have your lead foot outside his foot, because then that puts you in a position to exit out of their left hand and do other things. And as we all know, it's becoming more commonly accepted. But I remember when I started coaching about 13 years ago or so, that I would hear more of this complete black or white attitude of like, oh, you got to get if you don't get the foot outside the foot, then you're an idiot. You're going to get killed.
Sixth tactic. This is what I call the wide pivot. His front foot's on the outside. Okay. Now I'm going to wait for him to throw the left, and when he throws the left, I'm going to bend down at the waist. So he throws the left, bend it down at the waist. Now I'm going to pivot, throwing my upper body into his. Okay. I push him off down.
So
at the waist.
The first part of this move, I've had many people do.
Throw the left, and when he throws the left, I'm going to bend down at the waist. So he throws the left.
They're, maybe not quite as deep, but they end up that deep sometime in the thick of it. And then they're on the ropes maybe in that situation. They didn't mean to be on the ropes, and they use that as a way to spin out or spin around and land punches. But what you don't want to do and what you don't want to practice.
Bending down at the waist. Now I'm going to pivot, throwing my upper body into his. Okay?
Is that. Okay, so that's, there's a lot of different terms for that. I've heard it called shoulder chucking. But ramming somebody with your shoulder is not allowed, at least in amateur boxing. And I don't know of expressly stated rule against it in pro boxing, but I'm pretty sure also as well it would not be allowed, especially in excess. Because again, as well, to his point, he's trying to add extra spice to stuff, and it's like you don't need the spice, man. You just need the meat, right? So anyway, so he slips the shot here, right? Boom.
Bending down at the waist, shots.
Pull back a little bit.
Throwing my upper body into his.
So right there, where he could have just spun and shot punches, or he could have done that slip and slightly turned and shot punches, instead of this big shoulder chuck that's now going to knock your guy back. And as an amateur, at the very least as an amateur, which most people watching this are, I bet, going to be amateurs, not experts, they're going to, they're going to probably hear it from the referee on that.
Okay, I push him off balance, throw shots.
And they'll be confused. They'll be like, oh, you referee, you're a douchebag. And it's like, no, you're not allowed to shoulder chuck or shove people. Now, a little bump to make some space, like a very little bump. The key is the little. You can do a lot of little things that create space and things like that, and that are effective. But the way that he's showing that, it's really what you would call flagrant.
One more time, slower. Goes left. Push him off balance. Okay. The reason why I bend from my waist is so that I can get under any punch. Let's say he throws a left hook to the body. Okay.
That is a benefit of that. But of course, again, I can feel people in the comments
so I can
saying
get under
this
any
as
punch.
well. That
Let's
if
say
you
he throws a left hook to the
bend,
body. Okay.
you have a habit of bending that deep, and again, you're boxing amateur, so there is an explicit rule against it. Your head cannot drop below the belt line. That head is clearly below the belt line. So therefore, you're no good.
Knowledge.
As a pro, I actually just re-looked up the rules because I've never heard it in a pre-fight, whatever, meeting with the referee before a pro fight. I've never heard it. But I just double-checked that with the ABC, the Association of Boxing Commissions. And there is no rule in there of why you can't, of saying you can't put your head below the belt line there. But obviously, with AIBA and USA Boxing, it's explicit. Your head cannot drop below the belt line, and this is an example of it. So unless Johnny's only training pros, he's an expert boxer, so maybe it's only pros. You're not really going to want to practice this move that much, in my personal opinion, and professional.
Still under, spin over, push him off balance. So it's just a pivot.
And again, these are things that work, though, guys.
Now I'm going to show you how to punch.
In terms of, pardon me, these are things that do things to people that are not that experienced and can disrupt people. And so I say work, meaning that if you take your buddy right now and your buddy's not an experienced boxer and you do some of this stuff, you're going to see some success with it, some of it. But again, I'm thinking about what's the base we're building to get to the next level, right? You always got to be considering that, right? Not when you build a house, laying the foundation, it's like, oh, well, that's enough for, the foundation. We could put some 2x4 framing on there. But then the problem is once you start putting everything else on and a big heavy roof on it, now the foundation isn't proper and it's going to crumble. So keep that in mind. All right, so now the last one on southpaw tactics.
Now I'm going to show you how to punch and defend against the southpaw. The most important punch to watch out for is the southpaw's left cross. It's the most dangerous. It comes from an angle you're not used to. So if you see
again, it's kind of
left,
one of those things where, like, yes and no. In my opinion, going to my training philosophy a little bit here, the way I was taught, and I find it to be relatively helpful, is I do utilize sometimes some of these concepts of watching out for a certain hand and things like that. But generally, what I find is pretty empowering way to look at it is that a straight right is a straight right, a straight left is a straight left, a left hook is a left hook, a right hook is a right hook. One is slightly closer than the other one in a southpaw fighter, but they're all the same punches. So if you defend them all the same way and don't try to like flip, and completely invert your defense based off of what stance they are, it's a lot less to think about. Because then also if you deal with someone who's switching stances, I've seen it fry people's brain when they kind of over systematize things. And or really that isn't the right word for it, but you get what I'm saying. So they'll flip someone will flip stances and be like, okay, well, so now my defense is going to be like this, okay, and I got to watch out for that hand. And then they flip here and like, okay, well, now I'm here, so I got to watch out for that hand. And there's a lot of, the foot, that foot, oh my God. It's just, it gets to be a little too much, right? Unless those different things are causing an effect you don't want, don't overthink it.
Hand left, the glove inside, again. So you have straight left, which is glove in front, and you have overhand left, which is glove on the side. Sometimes you're not going to know
Good to
which
catch
one
the
is coming.
two.
If so, you're being over.
I'm a big fan of that. One thing is I'm not a big fan
Again.
of catching the two
you have straight left, which is
with
glove in
the
front.
glove on your jaw. Right? It's better than getting hit on your jaw, but it's going to cause control and everything else. And also, I love how his demos, he has his chin up in the air, right? I feel like he's going to hit in the throat at some point.
And you have overhand left, which is glove on the side. Sometimes you're not going to know which one is coming. If so, you're being overwhelmed. Put the glove to the side of your face and just turn in, and you'll block any left that he throws at you. Next punch to watch out
Of
for
course,
is
I would open
southpaw
up for the
jab.
other shot coming afterwards, but I mean, like, there's some validity there.
Sometimes you're going to be in a jab battle with the southpaw. Don't pay attention to his right glove. Just watch for the big left. That's the most
Okay, so
important
don't
punch.
pay attention to his right. Just watch out for the big left, as you get knocked the hell out by the right hook, right?
knowledge,
Or he dominates you with his jab, and you're like, "What, Johnny? I thought that I only had to watch out for the big left." And again, I tell the classic story of the most obvious way I saw this play out, but I've seen it play out in many ways. But the most obvious way was actually with the MMA fight. I'm not an MMA coach, but I was working cuts at an MMA event, and I was working out of a gym where there were some MMA fighters, and I was helping them with some boxing. So I was in the corner of this guy, and he just won a state title, and he was fighting this other guy, and the guy whose corner I was in had a stand-up coach that had this whole thing of, hey, you gotta move to your right, because he was fighting an orthodox fighter. They're both orthodox. And he's, you gotta move to your right because this guy, because you want to avoid the big right hand. All right. And this is based off of, he made this determination based off of what? Not watching film on the guy, the opponent, not knowing anything about the opponent. And if he would have known something about the opponent, he would have known that this guy's, one of his best punch is the left hook. And it's funny because my dad actually worked with this guy that was the opponent a few years before that, and really worked on the big left hook. And so his left hook was pretty good. And so this stand-up coach has his guy training the whole time to move to his right side to avoid the big right hand of the same stance fighter, and he's moving right into the left hook. So what happened in the fight? He got dropped by a big left hook. And then the opponent had really good ground game and took him out, submitted him. All right. So again, this whole thing of, don't watch out for this, and then you get nailed by the other punch. Watch out for all of it. Okay, watch out for all of it, and don't make these predeterminations as well. It's one thing if you're in the fight and you're already like halfway through the fight, and you can see, as the corner, you can see, as the fighter, you can see, okay, this guy is a one-trick pony. He only has this kind of one shot, it seems, right? And sometimes they can surprise you, but you see, especially at the lower level, like, okay, they only got this. Then you can start making these judgments, but don't go into every single guy that you're going to face having this preconceived notion.
When it comes, you're ready for it. Now, next punch to watch for is southpaw right hook. When you're blocking the southpaw right hook, okay, he can throw it anywhere, so you have to make sure you cover 3 points. Keep doing it. Okay, you cover your forehead, cover your chin, you cover your body. Doesn't matter where he throws it, just make sure you can cover all 3. So the best way to avoid the southpaw's right hook is actually just use your distance, and he's going to miss because it's too short. Now we talk about your
Well, it's
punches.
actually, the right hook is longer from a southpaw, so it's going to be longer than a standard stance boxer's right hook. So that's less of an opportunity, actually. But
Your best punch against the southpaw is a right hand. You can throw a straight right, you can lead with it, right uppercut to the body, overhand right to the head. I mean, just use the angles, lead with it, combo with it.
again, one of those
finish with it.
classic, finish with it. One of those classic fallacies of, sorry, Johnny, but when you read a boxing book on how to fight a southpaw, they say, "Oh, your right hand. That's it. A lot of right hands." And if you watch enough boxing, participate in enough boxing, coach enough boxing, you'll see that there's many other things that start happening.
Next punch you're going to use against southpaw is a jab. You may not be able to win fights with a jab, but you can't start.
You can almost always win fights with a jab. Almost always, but almost.
Jab, I mean, but you can always finish. So 1, 2, 1. Okay. Finish.
Well, Johnny, I thought you just said to finish with the right hand all the time against the southpaw. Now you want us to finish with the jab. I agree more, but come on, like let's add some consistency. I guess you could say he's going through all the nuances, but I don't know.
Jab rotates my body back into position to defend
Sides you
against
back up and whatnot.
Now for throwing my own hook, all I have to do is get my front foot to the outside, and I can land my left hooks to the southpaw. Again, I can aim at his body, his chin.
It's easier to throw from there, yes.
Or his forehead. Some basic combos, some basic maneuvers against the southpaw. Say he's throwing a left cross, okay? Slip outside, hit him.
Counter.
Again, he throws left cross, slip outside, hit him. Or I can throw a 1-2 to bait his left cross. 1-2, slip outside, hit him again. For the left hook, there's actually several ways to land the left hook. Let's say he's lunging in with the left hand. I can throw a left hook right at his forehead. Here it is. He's lunging in. Boom. Most southpaws are covering their chin. They're not covering their forehead. Again. Boom. Okay. Now that's just me trading shots. I'm turning away from his left hand while landing my own hook. I can also slip outside his left hand. Here it is. Slipping outside.
Now, outside of outside of the fact that the demonstration,
I can also slip outside his left hand. Here it is.
Is a palm strike, right? That is clearly not allowed in boxing, whether it's amateur or pro. This is a slick move that I've had some guys do, and it's tricky because the head's moving over that way as you bring over that left hook. So that's a good shot. But going back here just a little bit, a far better counter, in my opinion, than doing the left hook.
Let's say he's lunging in with the left hand. I can throw a left hook right at his forehead. Here it is. He's lunging in.
It's funny, he almost caught that shot because intuitively it's like it makes sense. Yes, it does make sense to catch the shot and shoot a shot. But let's catch the shot and shoot the most important punch of boxing, the jab. The jab is a great counter punch against a opposite stance fighter. So remember that, southpaws, and remember that, orthodoxes, that your jab is an excellent counter punch. You can slip your head offline as you shoot the jab like he does with the hook, but you land a beautiful jab off of it, right? A jab to the body, jab to the head. And you do it from that, neutral stance foot position or inside foot position, whatever. Doesn't really matter, but a great move to do. And then you can also just catch their two and shoot your jab same time. And that jab shoots out really fast. It's a great little thing I love against opposite stance fighters is they shoot a 1-2, you're maybe outside the one, you block the one, catch the one, whatever. And then you slip with the jab as that 2 comes, or you just catch the 2 and step with that jab, maybe off the side a little bit or whatever, doesn't matter. And you can land it a lot of times. And then you double, triple it up. Whew, you're in business.
Boom. Most southpaws are covering their chin. They're not covering their forehead. Turning, slipping outside, land my left hook on his forehead. Again. Boom.
Yeah, again.
And that's
sorry there, Johnny, outside. But this...
Land my left hook on his forehead. Again. Boom. And that's how you punch and defend against the southpaw. Thanks for watching.
All right.
Now I'm going to show you how to shoulder.
Yes. Now we're going to go into the shoulder roll. Very popular back in. And to be clear, I picked some of Johnny's most popular videos. So I'm not just picking ones that people haven't watched.
It's basically just using your shoulders to deflect punches. Okay, it's very effective, easier than blocking. You're basically just using the rhythm to defend against punches.
Hey, at least he didn't call it the Philly shell. I'd have to tear into you there, Johnny, if you called it the Philly shell. Called it shoulder rolling because that's what it is. It's called shoulder rolling. I don't know. People tell me it's because of the Fight Night video games, which I've maybe only played like once. Funny enough, I think the only time I played it was actually in the hotel room when I had a pro fighter who brought the whole gaming system along and whatnot. And I was kind of impressed by the way the video game looked and whatnot. But that's where people got this whole mindset of like Philly shell, click the button and like cross guard or whatever.
So Brian here, my partner, is going to do this little drill. It's going to help me learn the shoulder roll. Keep my hands in tight. He's going to start throwing punches at shoulder level. Okay. All I got to do, just keep rolling with the punches.
So wait, to learn the shoulder roll, you learn it by having someone throw punches at your shoulders. How does that apply to boxing, though? Because people don't throw punches ideally, they don't throw punches at your shoulder as far as them. They'll throw them at your face and your body. Shoulder punches, like one, your partner's practicing horrible stuff, and two, you're like how Johnny is here, where if he actually shot it at Johnny's head, Johnny would get hit. And that's one thing that you got to learn if you're going to shoulder roll stuff, is how to get the shoulder up to stop the shot. But let's hear him out. I also love how this guy, what type of hook is that, right?
I don't have to look at them. I don't even have to see them. As long as I know my partner's punching rhythm, I can roll the shots. Now, I should be able to, talk on the cell phone and roll punches. I mean, I can look down. I can look at him. I'm studying him. I'm looking for shots. Okay? Just rotating my body.
I got to pick on you there, Johnny. That chin being so neutral, my man. Dangerous stuff against a good boxer.
My feet, staying straight up, not leaning back, catching the punches on the outside, on my shoulders, and maybe even the back of my shoulders. Now, what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna start throwing punches with it. So every time a shoulder comes forward, I'm gonna throw a punch. Okay, here it is.
Right, film is skipping a touch, but what you don't want to do is, in my opinion, again, I love the eye closed too. You don't want to be throwing punches generally, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, the same time that someone else throws their punches, unless you're like bringing the head offline and things like that, or you have a very clear defensive activity you're doing. But with this, if someone's shooting like a right hand or a right hook, and you're shooting that left hook at the same exact time, you're probably going to get hit by it, or you're at least increasing the likelihood of getting hit by it. Versus when you're doing this drill, in terms of the timing, it's not a bad drill. Just let's have the punches aimed at the head so they can actually block shots that are coming at their head, number one. But then number two, have that rhythm running, ba, 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 and then you use that as an opportunity to learn how to have time to shoot in between punches, which of course the most famous guy over the past little while to do shoulder rolls, it made it super popular in boxing internet culture, is of course Floyd Mayweather. And if you watch a lot of his shoulder rolls, or James Toney shoulder rolls, or just Georgie Benton, or just whoever, right? So many guys. I mean, like, I don't want to say someone that did one that actually didn't do it, but there's a lot. When they do it, the idea is you shoulder roll, come back with the right hand, and you half time it while that hard right hand is still out, basically, and about to come back, or is about to come back. You don't wait on it and trade it with the left hook. And with this one of punching the same rhythm as your guy, think about it too. You defensively, regardless of what type of defense you're doing, you don't want to punch at their rhythm. You want to break the rhythm up. All right. So that's where this is actually, I'm going to have to say, Johnny, it's a bad drill.
Knowledge.
Okay, easy rhythm. You should be able to do this hour every day for warm up. It's gonna teach you the punching rhythm.
An hour every day for warm up? That sounds unrealistic, doesn't it?
Once you get the hang of it, going slow, you can go faster. Okay, other things you can do.
That's one thing, again, to use as a teaching experience. With drills, it's so important because we run a lot of drills, and to have people do the drill slow and then speed it up over time once they get it, right? But so often people want to speed up the drill and then they don't have the moves of the drill, so then they're just kind of surviving and not doing the points of the drill and the objective, and they're not checking off that box. So yeah, so slow it down, speed it up. Great advice right there.
Once he learns a shoulder roll rhythm, I mean, he can pretty much roll any shot he wants. He doesn't even have to be unbalanced. He doesn't even have to be, paying attention. So if I push him and surprise him with a shot, he's going to be ready to roll.
Why are you doing a double arm push, Johnny? Again, you like this.
Paying attention. So if I push him and surprise him with a shot, he's going to be ready to roll.
Why? I'm sure he saw somebody do it, but again, you're getting people that don't know much about boxing to think that type of stuff is acceptable. And then people like me who have boxing gyms have to deal with these people.
Okay, again, as we're doing the mitts, I push him and...
All right, well, that's enough of that. Hey guys, if you want me to do commentary and video analysis of your training or sparring or fights, then click the join option, go to level 2, and that will allow for you to send me your videos and for me to give you analysis and give my tips of what you can do to get to the next level. All right, guys, great way to support the channel. Appreciate your support. Let's get back to the video. The tip is, or the video is how to see punches coming, all right? So let's have expert boxer, an expert, tell us how we see punches coming, all right? So let's get into it, guys. Really important to the eyes. I've talked about the importance of that. Let's dive into that.
I'm Johnny from Expert Boxing. Right now I'm going to talk to you about how to see punches coming. So really, The first two things is your eyes and your intuition, your ability to feel. So eyes, I mean, you have to use your eyes. You know, you have to look at your opponent and just pay attention to
How do you see punches coming? Use your eyes. Video done, right? As far as, I mean, I hope he's going to add some extra technique here, right? Or some tips or some, I don't know, maybe little drills you can do to kind of increase, and maybe I'll give you some drills at the end of the video.
to feel. So eyes, I mean, you have to use your eyes. You know, you have to look at your opponent and just pay attention to everything. Try to see everything that's going on. Don't stare. Don't look for one thing. Don't look for the chest or the shoulder or the hand or the eye or the head. Don't look for any of that. Just pay attention. Look at everything that's right in front of you and pay attention. When you train,
Pay attention. That's the advice.
Train with things that make you use your eyes, like focus mitts. You have to use your eyes to hit it. Double end bag. You have to use your eyes to hit it. Heavy bag. Yeah, I blame the heavy bag for developing lazy eyes. Okay, because heavy bag you can just look all over the room, throw whatever kind of punches you want.
Let's be clear though. Once you get the rhythm of the double end bag, or the mitt holder meets you with where you're punching, right? Mitt's a little bit more so, yes, developing accuracy, agreed. But double end bag, once you get the timing of that double end bag specifically, I do see a decrease in benefit, all right? But initially, he is right.
So, you know, start getting eye awareness. Start thinking, you know, keep your eyes awake, alert, just like looking. Not just what punch is he throwing or what arm is coming from, like see, like really see. Is his elbow here? Is it there? When he throws it right, is he more open up top or in the bottom or in the center? So look, like really, if you want to see the punches coming, use your eyes and you will see. Okay, feeling. After a while, you have to learn how to
punches, you will see. And that's it. That's the advice.
Feel your opponent. I mean, what does he feel like he's gonna do? Okay, if I'm doing this and this feels like a right hand, okay, this feels like
looks like he's trying
jab.
to bait you into thinking he's gonna throw that shot, right? That's not what that looks like.
So, you know, try to feel. If you, let's say you just threw a hard right hand and you're in front of his right hand, then, you know, most likely his right hand is coming.
That's a feel thing. And you can more so tell by like body posture and things like that what might be coming. And again, to agree with his point that I think he closes out with is it's just about getting experience. But
a lot of this has to do with experience. There's no shortcuts in boxing. Okay, if I took a random person off the street and said, hey, look at this fight, look for the left hook, he's just going to look at me like I'm crazy. How can I watch for the left hook? I don't even know what it looks like. Okay, and that's the problem. Most people don't even know what certain punches look like. I mean, I know from here.
So yeah, you need to spend that time just in the ring. Now let's talk about those some actionable ways to increase your ability to see punches coming. There's something, I mentioned it in another video. I keep on looking for the book like it's over here. But one of the books I've read on the subject on, there it is, motor learning. The theory of closed to open training, right? So as a beginner, you want to have the least amount of variables so you can learn the move. But then as you progress, you want to expand the variables. And that's why a beginner improves a lot by doing some fairly basic drill. A more advanced guy doesn't improve that much, right? Just doing that same drill over and over again for years and years and years. And that's why you see fighters do a lot of different stuff as they go up levels. So to this point, how do you develop your eyes' ability to see punches coming? You need to dumb it down, simplify it, take out the variables. So first off, have someone just defend a jab. I talked about this in my defense video, but have someone just defend a jab so they're able to see what that jab looks like and do that against different people so they can kind of see the different ways that people throw jabs, little nuances, and pick up on those things in a controlled circumstance. So they have a jab coming at them that is titrated to where they're comfortable, and then increase that speed and power of the jab. So now they're stopping full speed jabs from a decent fighter. And some get through, but most are stopped. So they know what success feels like. Get that down, then you maybe add stopping like another punch, like maybe a 1 and a 2 that are separated. 1, pause, 2, sometimes lead with the 2, 2, sometimes lead with the 1. But it's just single shots, so you're not putting them together. Because like you guys know, when you put punches together, it's hard to block down. And it's a beautiful way you can build it up and do what he's talking about in a controlled setting. So you minimize how much you get popped while also truly learning. But you just got to make sure the partner throwing is actually throwing at the face and the places that are actually the scoring areas of boxing and things like that. But that would be my advice. Let's skip past this one because that, I think, is his whole thing, is just you got to see.
I'm Johnny.
Knowledge.
From Expert Boxing. Right now I'm going to go over the top 5 boxing mistakes, especially for beginners.
Top 5 boxing mistakes for beginners. Let's hear it.
Is too much focus up top, too much focus on the upper body. So I know boxing is about the arms, using the arms to punch and defend and all that. But you got to think of your whole body. You have an entire body. So all movements, you can use your whole body. So every time you throw a punch, even a punch, for every movement that your upper body is doing, your lower body is doing something along with it, okay? Use your whole body. A person who uses their whole body is going to have more balance and more power, all right? The feet is not just for footwork. The feet is part of your body. So it's
The
all
feet is
body
part of
movement.
your body. Thanks, Johnny.
And all movements in boxing are body movements. So think about that, okay? If you're just thinking up top, if that's all you think about up top, you're always going to swing off balance. You're always going to feel like you don't have enough power, and then you're tense up here because you didn't let the energy flow through your body. So use your whole body. Don't just think about the upper half. Next mistake is not using the eyes, okay? Beginners don't have eyes. They don't know how to see things.
They're
They don't know what
eyeless.
things look like, so then they don't know how to respond to it, okay? When you hit a target, look at it, boom. And to keep that constant eye contact, move away, okay? You hit something, I mean, really look at it. Don't just throw a shot and swing your head. And
The big thing
and
is
not
watch
really pay
people's
attention.
chest, right? Watch the center of the body, whether you're hitting them in the face or in the body. And if you practice that for long enough, trust me, you're going to feel benefit. So watch the chest, no matter if you're hitting them in the face or if you're trying to stop punches, because then you look in the same place, whether you're hitting or defending, and it allows you to just use your peripheral vision.
When you defend, same thing. You blocking, look at your opponent. Even if you're getting beat up, find a way to look at it. Because if you can see those punches and you remember what they look like, later on, you'll be able to train your ability to respond better and defend better. Okay, if all you're doing in the gym is just doing a whole bunch of slipping and defensive drills, you're not training your eyes, it won't do any good for you because when the punches come, you're still not used to seeing them, you won't be able to know what to do.
That's a good
because you
point. Guys that just do the erratic bobbing and slipping and stuff like that, which it is in some ways sometimes a good thing to practice, is just to be random with your head movement and things like that. But yeah, generally if that is your modus operandi, then you tend to not see, and you can't see what certain punches look like and how they're coming, and you're really just acting like you're being attacked by bees.
don't know what's coming your way. So train your eyes. Next common mistake is training too fast. Most beginners train too fast, okay? If you're going too fast, you're basically training for failure. You need to give your body time to absorb, okay, to learn,
Or
to
even
practice.
better said, the way Chuck Bodak said it, is that through proficiency of movement comes speed, power. Through proficiency of movement. So you only develop proficiency of movement through practicing it slow and smooth. Like when I talk about people, when you first learned how to walk, did you go sprinting first? No, you walked. You barely walked, and you held on to something as you did it. So build up that proficiency of movement, and then that allows you to have the base now where you can start walking faster, and then start jogging, and then start sprinting. But if you just go from barely walking to sprinting, you're going to fall on your face.
To learn, slow it down. Everybody that sends me questions, people say, oh, my hands aren't fast enough, I don't have enough power, I don't have enough speed, my
Yeah,
defense
people have too much focus on that when they're starting out.
isn't good enough, my footwork's not good. The problem is you're going too fast to begin with, okay? Slow it down to your level. If you're a beginner, beginner speed. Advanced speed. Boxing is not like track and field where you just run as fast as you can, and then the faster you run, the faster you get at running. Boxing is about making trained reactions, okay? You need to give yourself time to train the right reactions in. If you just speed it up, all you're gonna do is you're gonna box faster, but you're not gonna box faster intelligently, okay? So be intelligent,
Yeah,
slow
it's
it
going
down.
to be uncontrolled.
Fight intelligent, painful, it's too fast. Next mistake, most beginners are always forcing the fight instead of feeling the fight. Boxing is like water, okay? It's like swimming. If you jump in the water and you just flap your arms, you're gonna get tired, you won't go very far. But if you feel the water, you will get very far using very little energy. Same thing with all boxing technique. If I want to throw a jab and this position feels hard, maybe I'll try it here, or maybe I'll try it here. Or maybe from here I realize it's hard to throw a jab, it's easier to throw right, so then I throw right.
Odd examples there in demonstration.
Easy way, get a feel for the fight, okay? Obviously, if you're going too fast in the first place, you're not gonna have any moments to feel the fight. So slow it down, see how your body feels when you try different punches, different
In a
defense.
fight, it's not quite. Maybe he's talking about in certain sparring situations, yes. But I wish he would provide more nuance of what he's talking about.
Movements, slow it down, get a feel, find out what's easy. If it feels too hard, you're probably doing it wrong.
Well, something that I'm sure you guys have heard or experienced. Man, coach, throwing all those jabs is hard. I don't want to throw all those jabs. Freaking arms tired. It's hard. You're like, man, come on, jab. Like we got to build it up, and we got to work the jab. It is the most important punch for a reason. All that. All right. So sometimes what is hard is actually what you need to do. Boxing is sometimes doing the opposite of what is easy, because it's easy to turn away. It's easy to pick up your head. It's easy to run away or whatnot. It's easy to fling your punches, right? That's easy. What's hard is to try to throw punches that are compact and powerful. Hard to do small movements for defense.
Okay, so don't try to force the movement out of yourself. Give yourself a chance to learn the movement. Fifth thing, jab. Most beginners don't have enough focus on the jab. The jab is everything.
But Johnny, the jab can be hard, meaning their arm is tired and they're like, dude, I don't want to jab. I want to throw more right hands. He said to feel like, so just a little bit of that, detail thing.
Your number one offense, your number one defense, your number one counter offense. Okay, the jab is everything. A lot of guys, they don't know how to make their jab better. Their jab's not fast enough, not strong enough, so then they automatically default to like the right hand or a bigger punch or a hook or something flat.
Try to do what's easier. And you said do what's easier earlier, Johnny.
The jab is everything. Okay, really the game of boxing is all about the jab. So
Agreed.
develop that first, focus on that first. It will open opportunities for all.
And it'll be hard, but it'll be worth it. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up the video for Johnny Expert Boxer. And I appreciate him sharing his boxing knowledge with us.
Knowledge.
And, it's good stuff, definitely. If I were to give it a rating, it's majority correct. I think sometimes when he goes into the nuances and details, it's a little bit like, you're kind of reaching for different examples. But definitely, I'm not as much of a hater as I was of Johnny back in the day, because I've also matured as a person and as a coach. And, it has a real great use for beginner boxers, like all this stuff, really. Like beginner boxer, some of it. But what you got to watch out for is all of the extra little tips and tricks and little things and overcomplicating things. Let's keep it basic, right? It's like that whole saying, like KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? Let's keep it simple. Let's not overcomplicate this sport called boxing, especially when you're starting out. Let's build up the base. It's just like also as well with building a business or doing whatever, minimal viable product, right? Get the most basic thing down that people want to buy. And that's what you do. Don't build all this stuff that you're not even sure people want to buy. All right?
Knowledge.
So anyway, so that's my tip, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you click like, click subscribe, comment below for your thoughts on Expert Boxer and your thoughts on any of the techniques we talked about in this video. And the next big video is coming out Monday, so watch out for that, guys. Click like, click subscribe. Appreciate your support. See ya.